My name is Alexandra, but most people simply call me Alex. I'm 28 years old, and today I want to share something deeply personal. This is not just any story. It's a journey of love, hidden truths, and unexpected discoveries. It's about my husband, Mark, the man I thought I knew better than anyone. Around 3 years ago, my life was quite ordinary. I had a small job at a local bakery that sold fresh bread and sweet pastries. Each morning, Mark came into the shop to buy coffee. He had kind eyes and a gentle smile. There was something calming about his presence. Over time, we began to talk. He told me he was a writer, working on his first book. He didn't seem to have much money, but he was clever and had a way of making me laugh. His humor was light and kind, the kind that made your day better. We fell for each other quickly. It didn't feel rushed. It just felt natural. Mark had a way of making me feel heard. He gave me attention when I spoke, and always seemed interested in what I had to say. Being with him was easy. It felt like he really saw me, not just as a woman, but as a person. I believed that money wasn't important to either of us. I thought, we both valued love more than anything else. Eventually, we decided to marry. We didn't have a lot, so the ceremony was small. Only close friends were invited. Still, it was beautiful and heartfelt. That day, we exchanged simple promises to love each other no matter what, whether we were rich or poor. I took those words seriously. I believed every part of them. Our life together started in a tiny apartment. It wasn't much, but it was home. The rent took most of what we earned, so we had to be careful with spending. Every dollar mattered. I would search grocery stores for discounts and make sure we only bought what we needed. We prepared all our meals ourselves and hardly ever went out to eat. We talked about taking a trip one day, maybe to the sea, but we never had the extra money. Mark never seemed to mind. He wore plain clothes and didn't buy anything new unless he had to. His car was old and needed fixing now and then, which wasn't easy on our tight budget. There were times when I wished we had more, not out of greed, but for comfort. I saw others enjoying little luxuries and sometimes felt left behind. But whenever sadness crept into my thoughts, Mark would notice. He would take my hand and say softly, "Alex, we have each other. That's what really matters." His words would warm my heart every time. I trusted him completely. I believed he was someone who didn't care about money or appearances. I thought he loved our simple life, just as I did. To me, our love was enough. It was honest, real, and strong. I felt proud to be his wife, and I thought this was the life we would continue to build together. Simple, yet full of meaning. But one night, everything changed. It was a quiet Tuesday evening. Mark was in his office space, writing as usual. I was searching for a stapler and remembered he kept office supplies in his desk. One drawer was always locked. He once told me it held old college papers, nothing important. But that night, something caught my eye. The key was still in the lock. He had forgotten to take it out. At first, I hesitated, but curiosity got the better of me. Slowly, I opened the drawer. I expected dusty folders or notebooks. Instead, I found stacks of bank documents. That's when my stomach dropped. I picked up one paper and my hands turned cold. The name on it wasn't Mark Johnson, the name I'd always known. It said Mark Sterling. I felt dizzy. I looked at the numbers on the bank statement and couldn't believe what I was seeing. They weren't small savings or even thousands of dollars. The amounts were in millions. I checked another statement, then another. All of them showed massive sums of money. I was stunned. The man I thought was living a modest life with me, the man who wore worn-out shoes and drove an old car, was, in fact, a millionaire. My hand shook as I carried the papers to the living room. I sat down and placed them on the table. My heart was pounding. A few minutes later, Mark came out of his office. He saw the papers and froze. His face turned pale like he had seen a ghost. He knew instantly that I had uncovered his secret. In a low voice, I asked, "What is this, Mark?" He sat down slowly, avoiding my eyes. He looked scared, almost like a child caught in a lie. Then he said, "Alex, I can explain." He told me everything, or at least he claimed he did. He said his real name was Mark Sterling. The money came from his grandfather, who had passed away and left him a fortune. He said he didn't tell me because he wanted someone to love him for who he was, not for what he had. He said he was tired of people treating him differently once they knew about the money. So he chose to live a modest life and hide the truth. I didn't know how to feel. I sat there, speechless. Part of me was hurt, and another part of me felt like the person I had loved was a stranger. Was our life real? Or was it all just an act? He said he loved me. He said everything between us was genuine. But how could I trust his words now? I stared at him, confused and heartbroken. I had given him everything, my love, my loyalty, my life. And all along, he had been keeping something so big from me. It wasn't just the money. It was the lie, the pretending, the secrets. That night changed everything. I didn't know if I could look at Mark the same way again. I didn't know if our marriage could survive the weight of this truth. But I did know one thing. Sometimes, the people we think we know the best are hiding the biggest parts of themselves. Why did you lie to me for 3 years? Why did you lie to me for 3 years? I asked, my voice trembling. Mark looked at me, his face full of worry. I wanted to protect you, he said gently. I was afraid the world of rich people might hurt you. I also needed to know if you truly loved me for who I am, Mark Johnson, the writer. Not for my money, Mark Sterling, the billionaire. He pulled out a small box. It was red, soft, and delicate. Inside were 2 sleek tickets. These are for a private jet to Paris, he said, trying to smile. Just you and me, 1 week. We can begin our real life together. Paris, a private jet. It sounded like something from a movie, but I didn't smile. I looked into his eyes and realized something painful. He was my husband, yet I felt I didn't know him at all. If he could keep something this big from me, what else was hidden? My heart felt heavy, as if a stone was pressing down inside me. Mark sat down, clearly nervous. Alex, please let me explain everything. He told me his real last name was Sterling. The money he had came from his grandfather. He had always been rich, but he never let me know. He chose the name Mark Johnson to live a simple life. He wanted to test if someone would love him without knowing about his wealth. I'm sorry, he said. I did it for us. I needed to be sure. Your love was real. Again, he opened the red box and showed me the tickets. We can go to Paris. Just you and me. We can start fresh. It should have felt magical. But all I could think was, who is this man I married? We did go to Paris. It was everything a person could dream of. We stayed in an elegant hotel, ate fancy dinners, and walked under the sparkling lights of the Eiffel Tower. Mark bought me new dresses and shoes. He smiled often. But I couldn't enjoy it. Mark was different. He walked with confidence, spoke in a business-like tone, and seemed to be making huge decisions with every phone call. This wasn't the Mark I married in a small ceremony with only close friends. This was Mark Sterling, the man of wealth and power. I felt like I was acting in a story that wasn't mine. We walked in parks, visited famous museums, and sat in cafes. People looked at us with curiosity, probably recognizing Mark. I smiled for photos, but inside I felt distant. Something didn't feel right. He said he lied to protect me. But did he really? Or was there another reason? After a week, we returned home. The memories of Paris should have been sweet, but they only made my doubts stronger. Everything in our little apartment felt different. Not because the furniture changed, but because the truth had. Mark began going out more. He said it was for business. Before, he was always home writing. Now, I spent many days alone. One day, curiosity took over. I walked into his small office. The same drawer where I once found bank papers still sat there. My hands shook as I pulled it open again. The bank statements were there, but something else caught my eye. An old leather book. A journal. I opened it. The first pages were about Mark's childhood. He wrote about feeling angry and hurt. He wrote about his father, Robert Sterling, and about another man, Arthur Donovan. Arthur Donovan was my father. Confused, I kept reading. Mark blamed my father for destroying his father's business many years ago. He said his family lost everything because of him. The journal said his father became depressed and passed away from the stress. I froze. My father had always been kind and honest. I couldn't believe what I was reading. Mark had smiled at my father, talked kindly to him, shared meals with him. Yet inside, he hated him. This wasn't just a lie about money. This was something darker. I flipped more pages. Each one revealed more of Mark's thoughts. He had used our relationship as a way to get close to my father. He asked many questions over the years, about my father's past, his business, his future plans. I thought he was just trying to be close to my family. Now I realized he was gathering information. He never told my father his real name. If he had, my father would have recognized it and stayed away. Then, I read the most painful part. He wrote that I was the perfect key. Through me, he could get near to my father. He planned to ruin my father's life the way his father's life had been ruined, and I would help him, without even knowing. Mark didn't marry me for love. He married me for revenge. Our home, our dreams, even our love felt like a lie. I closed the journal and sat on the couch. Tears fell quietly. My heart was broken in too many pieces. I thought back on everything. The little smiles, the long walks, the whispered dreams late at night. Were those moments ever real? Did he ever love me, even a little? Mark came home that evening. He kissed my cheek and asked how my day had been. I looked at him, trying to find the man I thought I loved, but all I saw now was a stranger. "I found your journal," I said quietly. He froze. I saw the truth in his eyes. There were no more secrets now. He sat down without speaking. I waited. Finally, he said, "It started as revenge. Yes. But I fell in love with you. I didn't plan for that. I wanted to believe him. I wanted those 3 years to mean something. But how could I? Our whole life had been built on lies." "You used me," I whispered. "You married me to hurt my family." "I didn't mean for it to go that far," he said. "I just wanted to get close. To your father. I wanted answers. But you? You changed me." I didn't know what to believe anymore. Love should be about trust. About truth. He had taken that from me. I looked at the red box again. The tickets to Paris were still there, now meaningless. Mark tried to hold my hand, but I pulled away. Sometimes love cannot survive the weight of so many secrets. I stood up and walked to the window. The city outside was alive, honest, real, unlike the life I had been living. Maybe it was time to find myself again, without him, without lies, without revenge. They lived quietly in their small apartment, always careful with their money. They cooked meals at home, avoided spending too much, and dreamed about a peaceful future together. It seemed like they shared the same hopes, simple things like a family, love, and a happy life. But none of it was real. Everything they had built, every sweet moment she thought they shared, was based on lies. He didn't love her. He never did. He didn't love her heart, or the way she supported him through everything. He didn't love the way she believed in him, stood by him, or cared deeply for him. Every kind gesture, every word of affection, was part of something cruel. He used her. Their life together wasn't based on love, it was part of his plan from the very beginning. She was never a partner in his eyes. She was only a way to reach someone else. The man she thought she loved was never truly there. He played a role, acted with a purpose, and used her emotions as tools. What she had with him wasn't marriage. It was betrayal in disguise. The man named Mark wasn't the one she thought he was. His love was an illusion. His kindness was calculated. His goals had nothing to do with her. He was never interested in building a life with her. All he wanted was something else entirely: revenge. He didn't want a home. He didn't want peace. He wanted to hurt her father. She was nothing more than a way to get close to the man he hated. That night, the truth came out. It cut through her like a blade. She sat in the living room, the journal lying open on the table. The expensive shopping bags from their trip to Paris were next to it. Bags once filled with excitement and luxury now looked like symbols of something rotten. They no longer brought happiness. They looked false. They didn't belong in the life she thought they were living. She waited in silence for him to come home. Her heart was racing. When Mark walked in, he saw the journal. Then he looked at her. He saw the pain in her face. He knew she had discovered the truth. She called him by his full name. Her voice was weak, but steady. "Mark Sterling," she said. "Who is Arthur Donovan to you?" His face turned pale. The confident smile he always wore disappeared. This time, he didn't try to pretend. He didn't lie. Slowly, he sat down across from her. "Your father ruined my family, Alexandra," he said. His voice was cold, filled with old anger. He told her the story. Years ago, his father had lost everything because of her father. The business failed. The family fell apart. His father died feeling like a broken man. "I promised myself I would make your father pay," he said without emotion. Her heart felt heavier than ever. "And me?" she asked softly. "Was I just a part of your plan? Was our love fake? Was our marriage nothing more than a trick?" He didn't answer right away. He looked away. When he finally spoke, the words felt like ice. "It started like that," he said. "It was supposed to be just a way to reach him, but later, things got complicated." She didn't let him finish. "Complicated?" she said, louder now. Her voice was trembling. "You used me for 3 years, day after day, night after night. Was it ever real to you?" He looked at her, but the damage was done. He told her everything. He had married her to get close to her father. He used their relationship to collect information about the family business. His plan was to destroy her father's company, just like his own father's had been destroyed. He wanted her father to feel pain, shame, and loss. Every word of love he spoke had been part of the game. Every shared dream was only a cover for the truth. Their simple life was a stage, and she was just playing her part without knowing it. He said he developed real feelings over time, but how could she believe that now? She was not a partner. She was not a wife. She was a weapon. That night, as tears filled her eyes, she made a decision. Her heart was broken into pieces, but she had to do something for herself. She could not live one more day beside him. She could not breathe in that space filled with lies. Without waiting, she packed a small bag. Just a few clothes and the journal. She needed to go. The apartment, once filled with memories and warmth, now felt like a cold, empty place. It was no longer her home. Late that night, she knocked on her parents' door. Her father answered. He was surprised to see her at such a late hour. Without saying much, she sat down and opened the journal. She told him everything. Her voice shook as she spoke. Every word was painful. She told him about Mark. She told him about the lies, the plan, the betrayal. She told him about Mark's real name. She told him how the marriage had been used as a trap. Her father listened closely. His face changed slowly, from shock to sorrow and finally to anger. He remembered the man, Mark's father, Robert Sterling. But the story Mark told wasn't the full truth. It had been a business matter years ago, a bad deal, but not something done with the intention to harm. Her father had never meant to hurt anyone, but now he saw clearly. Mark had come into his daughter's life just to destroy his. Her father acted fast. He contacted his legal team the next morning. They began working to protect the company from any damage. Thanks to her honesty, they were able to stop Mark before he could carry out the final part of his plan. Mark's plan failed. He could not use the information he collected. He could not hurt the company. But the damage to her heart was already done. She knew she had to end the marriage. The love she thought they shared was never real. She visited a lawyer and began the painful process of divorce. Ending the relationship was not easy, but it was the right thing. Mark tried to reach out to her. He called. He sent messages. He even tried to explain. But she never replied. She didn't want to hear more lies. She didn't want his voice in her ears or his words in her heart. Soon, others learned the truth. People who once admired Mark began to see his real face. The rich man with charm was nothing more than someone who played with a woman's trust to seek revenge. He was no longer the man people thought he was. The road to healing has not been quick or simple. Her heart had been torn apart. But she wakes up each day trying to be a little stronger. She is starting from the beginning, trying to understand herself again without Mark beside her. She lost many things, but she didn't lose her strength. She now understands how trust can be misused, how love can be faked, and how important it is to protect your heart. She was tricked by a man who hid behind a smile. But she is not broken. She has learned. She is growing. Her eyes are open. And this is the beginning of her new life.